Lillahi ta'ala. Let's continue here in this aqidah of Al-Ghazali. Nice aqidah, very beneficial, mashallah. I feel like it triggers some thinking in myself, mashallah. Maybe you got some similar benefit. May Allah reward it. Ameen. So we've reached here where the author says, وَإِذَا كَانَتْ لَهُ هَذِهِ الصِّفَاتِ كان حيا عالما قادرا مريدا سميعا بصيرا متكلما. بالحياة والقدرة والعلم والإرادة والسمع والبصر والكلام لا بمجرد الذات. So he says here, and if he has these attributes, if God has these attributes, or maybe he means, since God has these attributes, then he is living, knower, powerful, willer, hearer, seer, speaker. So you might say, we covered this already. Yes, but if you want to now put this into its category, its title, then these are which attributes? Al-ma'nawiyah. Al-ma'nawiyah. So, alhamdulillah, I think that brothers and sisters have gotten strong and have in their hearts understood the difference between the sifat salbiyah and sifat ma'ani, the salbiyah attributes and the ma'ani attributes. Congratulations to you for that. And you know there's an attribute which is a sifatun nafsiyah, the self attribute. Maybe some people need me to repeat that, but if someone asks me, then I will, inshallah. Let me continue here. So, you know those attributes. Those are the 13 attributes. As-sifatu salbiyah and sifatul ma'ani and as-sifatu al-nafsiyah. Those three categories. Those are the 13 attributes that are obligatory on every accountable person to know. So, and you know, some scholars said 20 attributes are obligatory. Some said 20 attributes are obligatory. You know that. What are the other 7? They are كونه حيا وعالما وقادرا ومريدا وسميعا وبصيرا ومتكلما. His being alive, his being a knower, his being powerful, his being a willer, his being a hearer, his being a seer, and his being a speaker. Those are the other 7 attributes. Those are called as-sifatul ma'nawiyah. Don't get that mixed up with sifatul ma'ani. The names are close. But actually, ma'nawiyah is the derivative one. Ma'ani is the original one. Ma'nawiyah is the derivative one. And you can see that these attributes refer back to those ma'ani attributes. You might even say, I don't even see the difference. Why did some of them say 20 are obligatory when these 7 are just with the meaning of the 7 that are already mentioned? For some fine reason. They did so for some delicate point. They said it's obligatory to know these too. But our sheikh says that the strong saying is that it's not obligatory to know these attributes. His being alive, his being a knower, his being powerful, his being a willer, his being a hearer, his being a seer, his being a speaker. Because you're already going to understand that from learning about his attribute of life and knowledge and power and will and hearing and sight and speech. The one who learns those attributes will not miss these attributes, so that it needs to be said that learning these are an obligation above learning those. But some of them did say this. Uh, and the source of them saying this, those are the latter day scholars, mutaakhirun. The source of them producing this is in response to the Mu'tazila. The Mu'tazila who said only these attributes actually are the valid ones. Mu'tazila, they said, Sifatul Ma'ani, no, those are not valid. Only As-Sifatul Ma'nawiyah are valid. Now, that's not to say that they use the word Sifat Ma'nawiyah, but in meaning, this is what they're saying. They are saying, we should not say more than that he is alive and a knower and powerful and a willer and a hearer and a seer and a speaker. And we should not say, according to them, he has life and knowledge and power and will and hearing and sight and speech. So some scholars confirm both of those groups of attributes. Yani, we don't deny them. Nobody denies them, actually. I'm talking about as far as what we say is the personal obligation to learn. You will pick up some widespread Aqidah manuals. Some that we did read, mashallah. We found it in As-Sanusi. And in some that hopefully we will read after this. They will say 20 attributes. Yeah. So it's not the stronger saying. But it is worth mentioning. It is worth mentioning. What's not the stronger saying? Saying that it's obligatory to know them. There's no denial of them, though. And they are worthy of being mentioned. There's a benefit in teaching the people these adjectives and these attributes. Adjectives are names. Attributes are ascriptions. Yani, adjectives are descriptive names. What did Al-Ghazali say? He said, وَإِذَا كَانَتْ لَهُ هَذِهِ الصِّفَاتِ. If he has, or since he has, these attributes, كان حيا عالما قادرا مريدا سميعا بصيرا متكلما, then he is alive, a knower, powerful, a willer, a hearer, a seer, a speaker. بالحياة, by life and power and knowledge and will and hearing and sight and speech. لا بمجرد ذات, not merely by his self. Not merely by himself. He is not alive by himself merely, and knower by himself, powerful by himself, willer by himself, or by his self. By his self. No, that's not the right thing to say. The right thing to say is he's alive by life and powerful by power and willer by will and hearer by hearing and seer by seeing and speaker by speech. Uh, yeah, that's straight and that's fine. And if you want to have a nice consistency in your words, then it fits very well to say here, and hearing relates to what's heard, and sight relates to what's seen. Knowledge relates to what's known. Then this is very consistent here. As opposed to what? which you can say, is valid to say. Hearing pertains to whatever of God pertains to whatever exists. Sight of God pertains to whatever exists. That's valid. You can say it. Some scholars said it's the stronger way to say it. Some scholars said they're the same. You can say either way. You can say either way. But I've seen by just teaching here and translating that's nice consistency. If you want to say, hearing pertains to what's heard, sight pertains to what's seen, knowledge pertains to what's known. And the one who has knowledge is a knower. The one who has power is powerful. And that's why the Maturidis, they said Allah is creator by creating. They didn't say he's creator by power. They say he's creator by creating. Any question? Then the author says, al-af'al, the doings. Or you could say the actions of God. Now the author, he's an Ash'ari. And according to the Ash'a'irah, the doings of Allah are not eternal. They are the done things. The doing of Allah is the done thing, not eternal. To them, to say Allah is the doer means the one who has power to do. The one who has the power to create. He says, وَأَنَّهُ سُبْحَانَهُ وَتَعَالَى وأنه سبحانه وتعالى لا موجود سواه إلا وهو حادث بفعله لا موجود سواه إلا وهو حادث بفعله. And that he, glorified and exalted, there is nothing existing other than him, but that it is an occurrence by his doing. There is nothing existent other than him, but that it is an occurrence by his doing. وَفَائِضٌ مِّنْ عَدْلِهِ عَلَى أَحْسَنِ الْوُجُوهِ. SubhanAllah. وأكملها وأتمها وأعدلها وأنه حكيم في أفعاله, and that he is wise in his doings. We talked about the meaning of wise, wisdom for Allah and for the creation. عادل في أقضيته, just in his creating. لا يقاس عدله بعدل العباد. Very important here. His fairness is not compared to the fairness of the slaves. Yes, it's one of his attributes. So it cannot be compared to the fairness of the slave. So that's why it's not valid to say, why would Allah will for you to do evil and then punish you for it? If someone asks this question out of objection, then the source of the objection is comparing God to the creation. But if someone asks out of seeking comprehension, and because he couldn't understand something, he says, Allah willed for us to do evil? Yes, that's right. And if we do evil, he punishes? Yes, that's right. Therefore, he punishes us for what he willed for us to do? Yes, that's right. How's that? So it doesn't mean this question is out of objection. So the answer is, for this one who's seeking to understand and he wants to accept, it would be said to him, because Allah willed for you to do what you would choose for yourself. Yes, he punishes you for what he willed for you to do, but what he willed for you to do is what you would choose for yourself. He willed for you to do what you would choose for yourself. And so he punishes you for what you choose for yourself. So someone might say, doesn't this mean, though, that he willed for me to choose? The answer is yes, he did will for you to choose, yes. But still the same answer, though. He will punish you for what you chose for you. So he willed for you to choose for yourself. Add that part into your question. Did he will for me to choose for myself? Yes, he did. He willed for you to choose for yourself. So that's why there's no escape for you here. He didn't force you. Saying he will for you to choose for yourself means he didn't force you. So he will punish you for what he willed for you to do, because he willed for you to do something that he didn't force you to do. He willed for you to do something that he didn't force you to do.
Sheikh, I have a question.
Yes.
But we were created where we would do it by His will.
Okay.
So with our free will, we were created. Allah willed us to to disobey Him.
That's true.
Barakallahu feek.
I mean, Wafiq, he willed for us to disobey him if we did. If one of us did disobey him, he willed for us to do it. Meaning what? He willed for us to choose to do it. So where some person's going to get stuck here is going to say, he willed for us to choose, so he forced me to choose. Now right here, if a person find himself here, he forced me to choose, that's where he's going to be stuck unless Allah helps him. He's stuck going down the drain in circles here. Uh, so, just to clarify for you, why do we say Allah is the creator of everything? Because of the definitive evidence about that. What's the definitive evidence about that? Verses from the Quran, hadith from the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and intellectual arguments, invincible intellectual arguments. Why do we also say that we have a choice and we're not forced to do what we choose to do? Also, by indisputable evidence. What is that indisputable evidence? Observation. Observation. So if I want to pick up this thing right here, I'm going to pick it up. If I want to drop it, I'm going to drop it. I chose to do that, and that was recorded on me. The angels record everything I choose to do and everything that I do. All of my deeds. I try to reserve the word deed for what you choose to do, what you do by your own power, as opposed to your heartbeat. I wouldn't call your heartbeat a deed or your blinking a deed, but what you do with your hands and your feet and your tongue and your eyes, etc. Those are deeds. So both of those have definitive evidence that Allah is the creator of everything and that we have a choice and we're not forced. So we confirm both of them and you can't go further. So لا يقاس عدله بعدل العباد. His fairness is not compared to the fairness of the slaves. Because he does whatever he wills to do, and the slaves don't do whatever they will to do. So which angel records what is neither good nor bad? Which one records what's not good or bad? Yeah. I don't remember now. He says, إِذِ الْعَبْدُ يُتَصَوَّرُ مِنْهُ الظُّلْمُ. Because the slave of God, the God slave, it is conceivable that he would commit injustice or wrongdoing. This is conceivable. Yani, Al-Ghazali is building on what he said here. He said, God's fairness is not compared to the slave's fairness. This is a very precious statement here. And then he builds on that. Since, why? Because the slave, it is conceivable that he would commit injustice. So that means, but for God, it's not conceivable that he would commit injustice. بِتَصَرُّفِهِ فِي مِلْكِ غَيْرِهِ. It is conceivable that the slave would commit injustice by his uh, activity in another's dominion, by his activity in another's dominion, in another's authority. The meaning of this is that injustice is conceivable for someone over whom there is authority. If there is not someone who has authority over him, then injustice is inconceivable about that one. Then that one does whatever he wills, like create evil. That one who has no authority over him, and his fairness cannot be compared to the fairness of others, he does whatever he wills, and no one else does whatever he wills. He creates evil, and no one else is allowed to do evil. He creates evil, and no one else is allowed to do evil. His creating evil is not doing evil, though, because that's creating. Doing evil is not creating. وَلَا يُتَصَوَّرُ الظُّلْمُ مِنَ اللَّهِ تَعَالَى. And injustice is not conceived from God or about God, exalted is He. Meaning, not if you have a sound mind. If you have unsound mind, you would think that injustice is conceivable from God. How could injustice be conceivable about God when authority over him is not conceivable, and punishing him is not conceivable or possible? Demanding something from him is not conceivable. So if a person's mind is sound, then injustice is inconceivable to attribute to the Creator. فإنه لا يصادف لغيره ملكا حتى يكون تصرفه فيه ظلما. This one needs a lot of checking in the harakat, mashallah. For indeed, he does not do something in under someone else's authority. He does not do something under someone else's authority so that his doing would be unjust. He does not do something under someone else's authority so that his doing would be unjust. فَكُلُّ مَا سِوَاهُ مِنْ إِنْسٍ وَجِنٍّ وَمَلَكٍ وَشَيْطَانٍ وسماء وأرض وحيوان ونبات وجماد وجوهر وعرض ومدرك ومحسوس حادث. So everything other than him, whether human or genie or angel or devil being a kafir genie in particular, thereby Al-Ghazali signaled to the two religions amongst the genies, Islam and Kufr. There's two religions amongst the genies, Islam and Kufr. And Kufr has branches amongst the genies too. They could be Christians or something else, for example. Everything other than him, whether human or genie or angel or devil or sky or earth or living creature, hayawan. Hayawan is something that is alive by a soul. That's what it originally means in Arabic language, does not mean animal in particular. But people started using it to mean animal. A human being is a hayawan, but if you called a Muslim hayawan with the intent to insult him, then that is an insult and that's haram, major sin. Like to say to him, yeah, hayawan, that's going to be a major sin if you meant that he's an animal. But he is a hayawan in reality. So, living things with souls, things alive by soul. So, Allah is not hayawan because he is alive but not by soul. Wanabat and plants, wajamad and inanimate things, and the plants are uh, so he mentioned the plants, he mentioned the jamad, he separated them. That's interesting. So I don't know if there's something there. You know, the plants grow, that's for sure, and they take nourishment, water, and fertilizer. Yes. And they have, yeah, I mean, like this, they move, for example, sometimes, but they're not alive. Plants are not alive because they don't have souls. Inanimate things like the rocks, the stones, and other inanimate things. وَجَوْهَرْ وَعَرَض, and whether that thing is an atom or a property, or mudrak, or something realized, mudrak, or mahsus, or sensed, something sensed, hadith, it would be created. So let me say that again. Everything other than him, whether human or genie or angel or devil or sky or earth or a creature alive by a soul or a plant or an inanimate thing or an atom or a property or something realized or something sensed is created, is hadith, is an event. So, you know, there's some words here that work in English. Happen and start and occur and event. All of those mean created. And beginning, that's 5 words. Beginning, starting, occurring, happening, event, being an event, that's 5 words there. That applies to all of us. اخترعه بقدرته بعد العدم اختراعا. He created it by his power after non-existence, a creating, or if you want, he invented it by his power after non-existence, and inventing. He invented it as an inventing or as an invention of his, meaning creation. وَأَنْشَأَهُ إِنْشَاءً, and he initiated it, and initiation. So what I'm trying to capture here for you in the Arabic is something it's called maf'ul mutlaq. Maf'ul mutlaq is when you make a noun, a source noun, the object of its own verb. So you'd say in Arabic, ضربه ضربا, he beat him a beating. أكله أكلا, or أكل أكلا, he ate an eating. It's very common in Arabic. وَكَلَّمَ اللَّهُ مُوسَى تَكْلِيمًا. Allah spoke a speech to Moses. He spoke a speech. And like that. أَخَذَهُ أَخْذًا. He took him a taking. So, Al-Ghazali said here, اخترعه اختراعا. He invented it and inventing. But there's words in between. He invented it by his power after non-existence and inventing. وَأَنْشَأَهُ إِنْشَاءً. And he initiated it and initiating. بَعْدَ أَنْ لَمْ يَكُنْ شَيْئًا. After it was not anything at all. MashaAllah. إِذْ كَانَ مَوْجُودًا وَحْدَهُ. Since he was existent alone. وَلَمْ يَكُنْ مَعَهُ غَيْرُهُ. And there was not with him anyone else. فأحدث الخلق بعد ذلك إظهارا لقدرته. Then he made the creation occur after that as a demonstration of his power. وتحقيقا لما سبق من إرادته. And as manifestation of what he willed prior. Yani, prior means in eternity. Manifestation of what he willed in eternity, meaning so that what he willed to be shall come to be. وَلِمَا حَقَّ فِي الْأَزَلِ مِنْ كَلِمَتِهِ. وَلِمَا حَقَّ فِي الْأَزَلِ مِنْ كَلِمَتِهِ. And because of what he said in eternity. That's loose translation there. And because of what he said in eternity. Let me back up a little for you. He said here, فَأَحْدَثَ الْخَلْقَ بَعْدَ ذَلِكَ. Then he made the creation occur after that. And then he linked some sentences to this. He made the creation occur after that, إِظْهَارًا لِقُدْرَتِهِ. As a demonstration of his power. And تحقيقا لما سبق من إرادته. And as a manifestation of what he willed prior. He made the creation occur after that as a manifestation of what he willed prior. وَلِمَا حَقَّ فِي الْأَزَلِ مِنْ كَلِمَتِهِ. And because of what he said in eternity. He made the creation occur after that because of what he said in eternity. Which was for the creation to come into existence. Didn't Allah tell us? إنما أمره إذا أراد شيئا أن يقول له كن فيكون. Merely, if he willed something, then merely his command, if he willed for something, is that he says to it, be, and it is. This means that things come into existence in accordance with his eternal command. لا لافتقاره إليه وحاجته. He did not make the creation occur after that because of needing it and requiring it. No. وأنه متفضل بالخلق والاختراع. And that he is generous by creating and inventing. والتكليف. And by making us accountable. It's generous by making us accountable. Because by making us accountable, he's giving us an opportunity for great status. We are not here intelligent creatures yani, accountable just for uh, Allah didn't make us like this just for nothing, just so we can live on the earth and die, and that's all, and just eat and etc. He is generous by creating and inventing and by making us accountable, by confirming accountability, a taklif, la an wujub, without an obligation. Wa mutatawilun, and yani, I don't know how many ways I can say generous in English. You can say it in so many ways in Arabic though. Bil in'am, bil in'am, by endowing, wal islah, and fixing, la an luzum, without that being binding. Falahu al-fadl, and so the generosity is his. Wal ihsan, and the favor, yani he does a favor for you. God will do for you a favor that means something good for you without being obligated. Wal ni'mah, and the endowment. Wal imtinan, and the grace. The grace means the bestowing. إذ كان قادرا على أن يصب على عباده أنواع العذاب, since he had the power to pour upon his slaves all sorts of torture. ويبتليهم بضروب الآلام, and to test them with all kinds of pains. والأوصاب, not sure what awsab means. Subhanallah. If Allah will, He will just create pain in your body. You'll just be in pain. You'll be stuck in the bed, balled up, and can't walk. There's nothing hitting you, just the pain Allah creates it in you. Subhanallah. وَلَوْ فَعَلَ ذَلِكَ لَكَانَ مِنْهُ عَدْلًا, and had He done that, that would be just from Him. وَلَمْ يَكُنْ مِنْهُ قَبِيحًا وَلَا ظُلْمًا, and it would not be from Him something ugly, nor would it be a wrongdoing. Wallahu ta'ala a'lam. Allah knows best. We'll stop there. Subhanallah, subhanallah. I must say, I am impressed, subhanallah, with this aqidah of Al-Ghazali. Well, they didn't call him Hujjatul Islam for nothing. Subhanallah. Ameen wa iyyakum. Was there some questions I missed here? It says, can you say the names as Sami'ul Mujib? As Sami'ul Mujib? I need to know if the ul before Mujib is said with the ayn. Yeah. As Sami'ul Mujib. That's how you'd say that, if I understood your question. Subhanaka Allahumma wa bihamdik. أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت أستغفرك وأتوب إليك. Question, can you explain one more time Sifat Ma'ani and Sifat Ma'nawiyah? Yes. So, there are 13 attributes that are obligatory on every accountable person to learn. That's consensus. So even those who say there are 20 attributes, they say these 13 are obligatory. So there's no question about that. So these 13 attributes, how are they categorized? Let's just take the famous saying. Famous saying is that one of them is a sifatun nafsiyah, the self attribute. The self attribute, if you want to put a dash there. The self attribute. I've seen some nice translations for that. but I think self-attribute actually is very appropriate. So existence is the self-attribute. Then you have four attributes that negate imperfection. Four attributes that negate imperfection and do not confirm something. Yeah, they don't confirm something. They are eternality, qidam, because negates having a beginning, and I said four, five, according to famous saying. Five, according to famous saying. Qidam, having no beginning. Al-mukhalafatu lil hawadith, having no similar, or not having a similar. Al-istighna, not having a requirement. Al-baqa, not having an end. Uh, Al-wahdaniyah, not having a partner. So that's all of them, right? Not having a beginning, not having an end, not having a requirement, not having a similar, and not having a partner. Yes, those are called salbiyah. Now what's left? Seven more attributes. Those are called ma'ani. Ma'ani attributes are attributes that not only negate imperfection. Salbiya negate imperfection. Ma'ani not only negates imperfection, but also confirms. But also confirms um, something. Confirms something. And those are life, knowledge, power, will, sight, hearing, and speech. What's being confirmed here? What's being confirmed here are real attributes. Life is not merely negation of death. Power is not merely negation of weakness. Rather, life is something existent, not merely a negation of death. Power is something existent, not merely a negation of weakness. Knowledge is something existent, not merely a negation of ignorance. The Ma'ani attributes have confirmed existence. Those are seven by consensus. Now, some scholars, you said Salbiya negates imperfection. Yeah, Ma'ani affirms perfect attributes. Yes, but Ma'ani also negates imperfection. So Salbiya is not confirming something. Then some scholars, based on the Ma'ani, said seven more attributes. These seven are worded as adjectives in particular. They are worded as adjectives in particular. And since they are based on the Ma'ani, they're called Ma'nawiyah. Ma'nawiyah. That means based on Ma'ani. And those seven follow the seven Ma'ani attributes, but they're adjectives. And they usually would put the word kaunuhu in front, which means his being. So they say kaunuhu hayyan, his being alive. Kaunuhu qadiran, his being powerful. Kaunuhu muridan, his being a willer. You say, why is it important to specify ma'nawiyah? To tackle the fallacies of the Mu'tazila. But really, what's most important here actually is not the ma'nawiyya, it is the ma'ani. Because we don't disagree, yani, the Mu'tazila don't disagree about the ma'nawiyya, they disagree about the ma'ani. So the Mu'tazila would say, we believe that Allah is a hearer and a seer and a speaker. Now, if you don't know his games, then you're going to say, okay, that's fine, good, we agree. But you don't really agree. He doesn't really agree with you. Say, sure, yeah, we believe Allah is a speaker and a knower and a hearer and a willer, and he's alive. We agree. So if you don't know the trick, you say, okay, good. Why do I give you guys a hard time? You say just like we do. Nah, he has something. He actually disagree about the ma'ani. So you should say to him, and we believe that Allah has life and knowledge and power and will and sight and hearing speech, not just the adjectives. You said if someone negates the ma'ani, then in reality they negate the ma'nawiyya. Yes, that's correct. And therefore, the Mu'tazila who confirm the ma'nawiyya and negate the ma'ani are contradicting themselves. They are really atheists. They are a kind of atheist. Yes, atheism. It's a covert one. That's atheism that's beyond the minds of even normal atheists. The atheists hear us talking about atheism like this, they say, wow, I didn't know it goes that deep. Ameen wa iyyakum. Alhamdulillah. No, the atheists are not sophisticated. It's just a facade. And these guys are burnt out now. I think their time is over. Uh, I'm not talking only about atheists. Subhanak, you said if someone says Allah cannot hear colors, is this a mistake? I would say to him, don't speak without knowledge. Don't play. Also, I would say to him, don't play and don't speak without knowledge. Be silent here. And I might scold him. If he wants to go, be silent here. Don't talk anymore. I mean, there was another question here. I have to be mindful here. What's the issue? Where's my issue here? Yeah, don't forget, sometimes person mind take them to fallacies. Cannot pursue anything to cross your mind. That's just type of thing that's going to lead a person to west. There's another question here. Is the attribute of knowledge related to what exists and also what does not exist? Yes, correct. A bit different than what is heard, what is seen. Yes, correct. Meaning, the attribute of hearing relates to what is heard, and but what does not, if yani, what validates something being hearable or seeable is existence. Existence is not a validator of being knowable. Something is knowable without being existent, but something is not hearable or seeable without being existent. It is valid to say Allah knows everything, and it's valid to say He hears everything and He sees everything. Those words are valid. And it's valid to say Allah knows everything known, and He hears everything heard, and He sees everything seen, and those words are valid. What appears from this aqidah of Al-Ghazali is that he is saying Allah hears what is heard, and He sees what is seen. Isn't that what he said? He says it right here. Here. لا يعزب عن سمعه مسموع. No heard thing escapes his hearing. وَلَا يَغِيبُ عَنْ رُؤْيَتِهِ مَرْئِيٌّ, and no seen thing escapes his sight. So what appears that he takes this saying? The attributes are not him or other than him. Can you briefly explain? Yes. The correct belief is that Allah is a self or a being with attributes, attributed with attributes. Eternal. An eternal being with eternal attributes. He is not those attributes, nor is he something else. Those attributes are not him, nor are they something else. The meaning is that had his self been his attributes, then he would have been knowledge, and he would have been power, and he would have been hearing. And this is invalid, because then knowledge would have been power, and hearing would have been life, and life would have been will, and will would have been speech, etc. This all invalid. So then he is not his attributes. And he is not something else, because had he been something else, then it would be valid to confirm him without the attributes. And it's not valid to confirm God without his attributes. So the synopsis of this, and what I'm saying to you is a great summary, is Allah is not his attributes, nor is he something else. And it's valid to say the reverse. His attributes are not him, nor are they something else. And what completes the case is to say, as for the creations, their attributes are something else. Meaning, as for the creations themselves, the selves of the creations, as for the created beings, their attributes are something else. Because Allah is different from us. We can't say the same thing. For Allah, we say, He is not His attributes, nor is He something else. We can't say that for us. We say for us, we are not our attributes. Proof for that is the fact that we change. The fact that we change means we used to have attributes we don't have now. And we now have attributes we did not used to have. So that means, but still ourselves though. I'm still me. I'm still me, although I don't have attributes I used to have. And I now have attributes I didn't used to have. So that's proof that I'm not my attributes. Is that clear for you, inshallah? He said, can you say they exist in his essence? No. One, we don't say essence. We say either self or being. We don't say essence. Two, we don't say in here. In does not work. He said, or do we say they are connected to his essence? No. Connected does not work. So, what do we say? We say they are confirmed for him. That's what we say. And confirmed. And we say they exist by his existence. His attributes exist by his existence, and they are confirmed for him in eternity. Since you ask, I'll read for you something. So stand by real quick. It is not said that his attributes agree with him or comply with him or oppose him, or that they are separate from him, or that they adhere to him, or that they are connected to him or disconnected from him. And it is not said that his attributes resemble him or that they do not resemble him. Nor is it said that his attributes dwell within him or that he is made of them. What must be said is they are attributes of his, they are confirmed for him. And they are unique to him, without being parts of him and without dwelling within him. That's clear, inshallah. There's another question here. It says, As mentioned, some scholars say Allah hears what exists, Allah sees what exists. These sayings are valid surely. Is the saying that Allah knows what exists, is this saying sufficient? For sure Allah knows what exists, because Allah knows everything. But say, is it sufficient? Uh Not if you have certain point in mind. If you have certain point in mind, then it's not sufficient. He said, what if someone says they are existent realities separate from his self? No, let him not say that. That's the wrong saying. I just said, we don't say they are separate from him. I just said right now. He said, will one think it leaves out it doesn't exist? It does leave it out. He said, what supplication do we say before we break our fasts? Before we break our fast, I don't know supplication to say before you break your fast. آمين وإياكم. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت أستغفرك وأتوب إليك